Hi, thanks for joining me. Do you ever find yourself getting totally overwhelmed with things going on around you and you feel like you need to control everything and things just have to be perfect? And you can watch other people and you think, how do they get away with not doing anything? And you're busy running around taking on all the jobs because you want it done properly. I was definitely in that category for most of my life. And it sort of was, I had to go back to the way in which I was brought up and how it was sort of instilled in me that everything had to be perfect. So my mum would take me to like my grandma's house or take me to friends' houses, and she was the type of person that always made judgment about other people. So she would be sitting there and she would say something like, "Oh, I see you haven't had time to clean your house up yet," or "I see you haven't dusted lately." And of course, it was quite insulting to the person that she was saying it to. Whether or not she was saying it to be hurtful, I don't know. She may have just been saying it because she felt like they were jobs that needed doing and they weren't done. So I had that side of my mum continually not telling me, it was more that when I was with her and we were at people's places, she was telling other people that, they need to pick up their game to get their house tidied up. And then I also was part of a dancing team, which was competition dancing, and we had to get everything right. In a team, everybody had to make exactly the same move, so that we could win. But the whole idea of doing dancing was part of it, was fun, but it was really for competitions. And so we could win, we had to be exactly in unison with each other with our moves. So we had to be perfect. And then at school, we were graded by our intellect. So, we were given tests, and, if you got 100 out of 100, you were an A grade student. So we were judged in that way as well. So growing up, there would have been something in my mind that formed into everything has to be perfect. And so I would make sure everything was perfect. Like coming up when I was married with young children, the house had to be clean. Now I had three young boys. They were together in a group, and then later on I added two more boys. So trying to keep a house clean with children is very difficult, but I would run myself ragged trying to keep that house clean for fear that somebody would judge me that I wasn't perfect. And it got to a point where I was just running myself silly, um, trying to make everything absolutely perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. And I wasn't even, if like we had people coming to stay with us, I would clean that house from top to bottom and clean the windows and clean everything. And now that I look back at it, they weren't there to visit my house. They were there to visit me. And I was just, well, and it was the strangest thing because I would have a lot of friends who didn't clean at all, and it never bothered me. I would go into their home and everything was just utter chaos, and I never noticed. I know it was chaotic, but I didn't really care. I didn't care that their house was chaotic. It was only like my house. My house had to be perfect in my mind, and it was this fear of this judgment from growing up that everything had to be just right. Of course, if you live in that kind of way, it just builds up and builds up and builds up till it becomes so overwhelming you just about have a breakdown. And I got to this point in my life where I think this was the breaking point. And my ex-husband at the time had cleaned out the fridge, and he grabbed a casserole that had been in there, had probably been in there for 3 days. No one was going to eat it. And he had a habit of pulling everything out of the fridge and just putting it on the cupboard to say, clean this up. So this particular time, I think it was my snapping point. I thought, if you're going to pull that out of the fridge, You clean it up. You empty the contents and you wash the bowl. So I just left it there. And I left it sitting on the kitchen bench. And I thought, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to see if there's anyone else in this household that's going to tend to it. Now, I had three later teenage children and two younger ones in the house. So I didn't expect the younger ones to do anything, but I thought, there was they were 16, 17 and 20. And then it was my ex-husband. So I thought any one of those people there could empty that casserole dish and wash it. So I left it there. And then the next day it was still there. And then the next day it was still there. And it was killing me. On the inside, it was a real struggle for me to look at it, because it looked like it was going to start growing mold and grow legs and walk away. And it was such a struggle for me to leave it there. Like, this was my point of, not everything has to be perfect. I can leave it. It's going to be okay. The world's not going to fall down around me if I leave that casserole dish there with the food in it. And even if it's unhygienic, it was very unhygienic. It was just sitting out in the open in the kitchen. But I left it there, and I left it there, and I left it there. And it sat there for 8 days. It sat there for 8 days. And I was watching everyone else. I was cleaning all the other dishes. It's not like I just left that one thing there. I did all the other dishes. The kitchen was all clean. It was just this one casserole that was sitting there. And I thought, somebody in this house is going to see that the rest of the house is clean and that's sitting there. And they're going to move it. Nobody moved it. Not one person moved it. And it dawned on me, they're not going to move it because they expect me to move it. I had created an existence where I did everything for them. So why would they suddenly just start doing things for themselves if I had been doing it for them? So after the 7 days, I thought, I have to cave in. I have to cave in. And I grabbed it and I cleaned it out and washed the bowl. And it was a real turning point for me, because it was like, I was doing things so much that it was just other people expected that I was just going to do it because I always had to do it. And I never looked like I was worried about doing it. I looked like I was coping really well. And it was from that point I just stopped doing a lot of things that I worried about, and I was letting go, learning to let go of that judgment. So if someone doesn't like the way my house is, who cares? If they're not coming to my home to see me and they're worried about my surroundings, they're not people that I want to be friends with. If someone was constantly text messaging me at all hours of the day and night to get my help, and I was responding every single time, I am creating them to expect me to do that. So if I did that for a long time and then suddenly I didn't answer, they were like, where are you? Where are you? You're supposed to be there doing this for me. So it's not just, it's taking our own ownership of what we are creating around us and how we are feeding that to other people. So if you're in a situation in a workplace where you feel like you're doing absolutely everything and no one else is pulling their weight, are you enabling that? Are you creating that because they're thinking, well, she's going to do it, he's going to do it, why should I have to do it? They'll do it. If you've done something for years and years and years and you just stop doing it, it takes a while, because other people straight away think, well, they might be having a bad day, that, they'll do it tomorrow. They'll be back to normal. And it actually can frighten other people around you, because you change dramatically and they don't know what to do then. Because you know how we always feed off each other's energy. No matter what we are putting out there, someone else is responding to that. So if I'm putting out there that I will be there for you all the time, you'll get used to that. And when I stop doing that, you're not used to that. The energy shifts, and then you're left with, well, what do I do now? Like, it's changed. So have a think about, if you're somebody that, like I was, that needed everything to be perfect, and felt very, very judged by other people if you weren't coping. I found later in life that I really need people around me that are so genuine that if I'm not coping, they still want to be in my life. They don't want to leave because I'm not there for them anymore. So it was such a big lesson for me, because that casserole dish probably could have sat there for a whole year and no one noticed it. It's like, it was really like, why am I sweating the small stuff? Like, why am I worried so much about the little things when I was not even enjoying my own life? I was so busy trying to make everything look perfect. I wasn't having fun at all. I was just wearing myself into the ground. And, we have to, we go through these things so that we learn, so that we go, oh, so I see what I'm doing now. I'm not even enjoying my life. I'm so busy stressed out about what everyone else is thinking. I wasn't even enjoying what I was supposed to be doing in life. So, and we all go through different kinds of lessons. So that was a really big one. And I thought I would share that story with you. If you're in a situation where you're trying so hard to have everything perfect and organized, and you're doing it for everybody else, you're also enabling them to expect it from you. So if it gets to a point where you can't do it anymore, they're still going to want to expect that from you. So, now is a really good time to try to create a few boundaries, to pull back on not worrying so much about things, and start changing that mindset that you got yourself trapped into. And then you can lighten up a bit more and enjoy your own time. So I just thought I'd share that with you, because I felt like someone out there really needed to hear that today. So have a lovely day.